What's up? What's up? What is up? It's another Friday, another opportunity to get together and record the experience that is known worldwide as the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. The Ball Hawk Sports Talk is where sports, business, and entertainment collide. Two businessmen get together to discuss sports in an entertaining fashion. We at it again. We in the building. This episode stems from all of the arguments that you've had in respective grocery store aisles, at family reunions, and in the classic debate stage, while waiting on your haircut at the barbershop. It stems from the idea of greatness. In sports, we have exhausted so many hours, so many emotions, so many moments between loved ones and friends debating who are the greats. You want to stay tuned because what we realize is everybody has different subjective qualities to what they define as great. But in certain instances, greatness is personified and cannot be denied. With that being said, boys and girls, dogs and frogs, cats and rats, anything and everything in between, fasten your seatbelt, pull up a nice comfortable chair, pour you a nice tall mug of coffee. You could even spike it with whatever you want because the Ball Hawk Sports Talk is coming to you. So let's go. Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke. Because this is the Ball Hawk Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go, 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 go. Once again, it's on. Once again, it's on. I get to be here in front of this microphone, and it is my pleasure every Friday to do so, but it's even more pleasurable. Yeah, you like that. Pleasurable. When I get to do so.
I didn't know that was a tough word. Is that,
a
trick word, trap word?
Southern drawl, man. There's a whole bunch of syllables. Pleasurable.
I didn't get the email.
But we also have to point out that it is a lot more enjoyable. How about that? When I get to be in front of this microphone with the man, the myth, the legend, thou who shall be intergalactically known and respected as. When you say it with your chest. Stand up in your chair and make sure you respect the man from the Middle Coast. The Big Flow shows in the building. What's up, my brother?
Man, what's good, B? What's good, America? What's good, all the fans out there paying attention? That's about, I think we got 600 people right now already online. See, tell a friend.
Even when they're not here, they're here.
They're here in spirit. Somebody's going to watch. Anyway, man, it's great, man. I look forward to Fridays, man. I look forward to spending time running my mouth with you and getting things going, hearing the comments from everybody. Check in when you get here. We've been having real problems with the comments the last couple of weeks, but I like you to check in. And if I don't see, if I check in and I get a chance, if you check in and I see it, I'm going to say something and welcome you to the show. Otherwise, always shoot me a text or Bobby a text if you're a listener and you don't hear anything, because we will check it out and incorporate.
Yeah, we will, man. And while you are making those announcements, I might as well make this one. Like we ask every week, humbly. Please please comment, please share, please tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, and please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and the podcast.
Both of them.
BOFUM, both of them. Now let's hop in, bro. Because you and I, on this platform, doing the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, discussing sports, business, and entertainment, and doing so in a rough, rugged, and raw manner, we are indeed greatness personified. Absolutely. And it's okay if we pat ourselves on the back. You know, y'all getting us at.
I can't reach my back. I'm large statured, but if I could, I would pat the hell out of
the mirror, man. Pat the mirror. You patted your back at that.
I can't get all the way back there. I have low shoulder flexibility, but okay.
Well, we are greatness personified. And y'all getting it at the low. Y'all getting it on discount now. We're going to be on a stage near you soon. And it's going to be a lot more expensive. So appreciate and enjoy the greatness personified. But who better than us to create this conversation?
No one.
Greatness personified. When you think of greatness,
I think
when we're having the conversation of the GOAT, when you're at the family reunion and you and Uncle Elroy, I just made that up, obviously, you and your uncle are having this conversation, debate, hell, we'll even call it an argument about the greats. And I know when the GOAT conversation, you bring up LeBron James, and I envision this hypothetical Uncle Elroy is going to say Michael Jordan. Let's not spend time on the substance of that debate. But I do want to ask you and those who are watching from a live audience standpoint, thank you for watching. I do want to ask, what factors do you use to determine greatness as you're having the conversations of the greatest of all time? What goes into the secret sauce of greatness that allows you to then defend your stance? Yours is LeBron James is the greatest. What are you using to defend that stance and other stances when you're talking about greatness in sports?
I'll be honest. First of all, let me establish. I don't say that LeBron James is the greatest. I just think it's closer than people think. And I think that's the part of it where, he's still playing, so we never know what's going to happen. If he wins another championship at any point at this age, which I don't see is very possible, but if he
not
does,
with that team, not with that team,
but just the fact he is starting to get a little older, but he's still playing well. I just think it's a conversation, and I think people sound silly when they don't discuss it. But truly, I don't believe you could ever say there's a greatest unless you're saying greatest of an era, because they're not playing against the same people, they're not playing the same rules, they're not doing the same things here. Things have happened.
All that aside, we know it happens anyway. We still make the debate.
We do make the debate. But okay, so you asked a question, I'm going to answer. What goes into it? I think it's a feeling. I think it's more than us, because stats tell us part of the story, but they don't tell the whole story. And who you have a feeling. We all know that guy when we were kids that was playing that always did some great things in the biggest moments. Maybe it was you, maybe it was me. Who knows what it was back then? But
for your story's sake, I like that. I'm gonna go ahead and
yeah, I'm not gonna say. So at the end of the day, I feel like there's a lot of guys, like, when I think about basketball players when I was a kid and from my high school, like, I'm not gonna jock anybody on the show, but there's some dudes who you're like, okay, this dude was better than that dude. And if you look at the stats, it may not back it up. But when you were in the stands and you watched it, you just thought of it, game on the line, what kind of energy they brought. I think that's really what a lot of people look at and what they do. So, in some of the people that we discussed today, you look at them and you just think they dominated. When they were on the court, they were the best player on the court every time they were on the court, all the time. And it goes into it. But if you break it down on paper, nothing makes sense. It's always like,
So you're saying a feeling. So when you say feeling, is it like just they have to pass the sniff test in the sense that, and again, I'm not making the argument Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. So if you came here for that, you're going to be sorely disappointed. We're talking way more high level. But using that as the example, there are several people that say, LeBron played longer. He has had way more longevity than most of the greats. But he's missing those who detractors of the argument LeBron is the greatest. There's just something about him that's missing. He didn't change the game. He doesn't move people to, essentially, well, he does move some people. He's got his own group of followers, but there's this argument there that says he doesn't have that je ne sais quoi.
I knew you were going to say that.
You knew I was going to say that, right? I love saying it.
I don't even know why.
He doesn't have that je ne sais quoi. So is that, in your humble opinion, when you're defending your statement about the greats, from your standpoint, when you think back on those arguments, are you using those same feelings when describing, like, there has to be something that conjures up greatness when you think of this athlete?
The change the game
aspect,
that kind of rolled in my head when you said change the game. You start thinking about those who changed the game. So you look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they outlawed the dunk because of him, right? He had a hook shot nobody could mess with. Um, Shaq, I can't remember what rules that they started doing for Shaq, but they changed some rules for Shaq. Then they switched to double. The illegal defense got switched. Steph Curry changed the game because he's shooting from half court. So I think that's a factor, but it's kind of I don't know. You know what I mean? You changed the game, you did something different. Did Michael Jordan change the game, or did he
Yes.
play it differently?
Yes.
What did he change?
He changed marketing in the game. He changed the
Okay.
singular focus of an athlete being able to take a brand and be the face of the brand.
So he
He
changed
changed.
it off the court.
He became iconic, right? So they say the intangibles, both on the court and off the court, because people, and factually, it has been debunked, but people in their gut, they're feeling, right? And that's what I want to sort of get out of this today, greatness personified. And those who are watching, live audience, please weigh in. But it's like this idea that when the game is on the line, Michael Jordan is going to do something next worldly, despite how he's being defended, despite having the flu, despite not necessarily having a open look on a play. Michael Jordan and people argue Kobe Bryant with Mamba mentality is going to do something next worldly, and that feeling of changing the game and having an intangible quality that is nonsensical if you think about it, because you shouldn't be shooting over three people. But that's sort of the whole intangible, how he changed the game, how he changed this idea of what a superstar is. And again, it's not about MJ and LeBron. More broadly, and you said it, the feeling. How do you come to get to that point where you have that feeling about an
Well,
athlete?
so on that's where things kind of get goofy, because if you look at statistically speaking, like some of the things that we say he changed the game with, okay, like he needs to make the clutch shot at the end. Everyone talks shit about LeBron, but he's more clutch percentage wise and has had made more buzzer beaters than Jordan. But
Yep, one
everyone,
of the myths that I said has been debunked by
yeah,
stats. Absolutely.
yeah. So you start looking, it's like, okay, that's not really true. Um, you know, his way of playing the game and his flair to the game is really what made everyone excited. But Dr. J really added that flair to the game and just doing stuff that was kind of what we would consider wild. I mean, when Jordan first got into the league, I think I would describe him as reckless and wild. He just he was the biggest gun in the NBA history. He would just drive to the lane and throw up shots, and even if it wasn't a good shot, he would just throw it up without doing it. And it was fun to watch as a kid, but it was really horrible basketball if you think about some of the stuff he was doing. Um, until that shit started dropping. But for everyone that dropped, 10 of them didn't drop, and then he got better at doing whatever. So his mentality got him to that level. But
Same with Steph Curry. That Olympic shot that everyone's going to refer to as his moment of greatness, pound for pound, as someone that dabbles in the basketball coaching world. Shout out to Battle Tested. I get to sit on the bench and at least offer some input.
right.
Pound for pound, that's a horrible shot, but it went in.
I don't remember Steph Curry, and I could be wrong in this. I don't remember a time in Steph Curry where he was just bad at that shot and he kept shooting it, and then eventually a one or two went in. I thought he shot that at a decent clip from the first time I saw him do that in the game. Am I wrong with that?
No, I mean he struggled in the Olympics, and then it just
Yeah, he had bad
he
stretches.
struck
A
out.
shooter's gonna have bad
Yeah.
stretches, but in general, Steph Curry started shooting those logo threes, and they were going in. He wasn't messing up.
Oh, you
But
mean historically? Yeah, I mean he
historically,
wasn't shooting air balls. The
he
first
never
time he
should have.
shot it, it still had a
When
chance.
when
Right.
when Jordan first got in the league, he was throwing up garbage. Like when he would go up,
Oh,
he
turning backwards in the
just turn
air,
up,
trying to
throw it
spin.
up, and then then he would get a couple lucky ones, and then they started getting better at it. He started dropping. So I don't know. That kind of doesn't have much of a bearing on what we're talking about the GOAT. But I just think the GOAT is a feel. I do think the conversation is great because it shows the passion that we have for sports. It shows how people move us and how much we like people for whatever reason. Everyone's going to have their different reasons to why somebody's the GOAT for them, and I think that's good. I think that's good for the sport, for all sports.
Let's go with, because we're gonna go with examples of greatness personified. For those who are joining us, thank you. Please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast. But I want to start with examples of greatness. because this was no normal Thursday night last night. I done made it Monday already. This was no normal Thursday night. So as we get up and get on this platform and get to address our amazing audience and be in front of these microphones, we get here having seen 3 pronounced just last night examples of greatness. And let's go in order because, ladies first, I want to start with Diana Taurasi. Diana Taurasi, who is 42 years old, right? Because we all are talking about LeBron being 40 and in his 22nd year. She was drafted in 2004, so I think this makes it her 21st season. She has done everything from an international standpoint, won in every country. She's played overseas. She played what could have been her last regular season game last night. And by the likes of it, everyone had on a shirt after the game that said, "If this is it," meaning that if indeed she is retiring, that they wanted to be there and celebrate her. Sue Bird was in attendance. But I think she's worth really acknowledging first because my appreciation for women's basketball, right, over the last several years, we've talked about WNBA on this show, but my appreciation for women's basketball, as I give the history of it, having seen the WNBA from its inaugural season to where it is now, having seen the growth of women's basketball before they were even allowed to wear the tag of March Madness, having seen so many players because of finances needing to go overseas, and that trend changing just a little bit because of the opportunities here, both on the collegiate and professional level, and then outside of their contract professionally, showing the revenue stream opportunities here. Having seen the history of it, the centerpiece of all of it really is Diana Taurasi. Greatness personified. What is it about her that you think is the personification of greatness?
I think just the way she carries herself. She comes at the game hard. She's the best because she thinks she's the best. She believes she's the best. And I think
mentality. All right, I'm taking notes on what you're using to describe greatness.
Yeah.
Mentality.
Her mentality. She's got a balanced game. She just can play hard. She's played, but again, longevity. I mean, people don't want to give a lot to longevity, but if longevity was easy, everyone would do it.
I think the challenge when you're in those baseless arguments in the barbershop.
Did you say baseless?
We have no base whatsoever, no foundation, no evidence whatsoever when we have these arguments. But I think the challenge that people have with longevity is that's more of a reflection of science. We know now how to care for the body more than we did back then, right? They talked about MLB players drinking beer and smoking cigarettes during the game. They talked about, the rampant use of cocaine in the NBA at one point. There were very few, if any, of these freaking trainers that went around and did, full body cryotherapy and all this. We've come scientifically, we've come around in terms of preserving the athlete and protecting their ability to continue doing what they're doing. So I think that's the biggest challenge with longevity, but how dare you not acknowledge it, right? And the people that played for 20 years back in the 80s, I think deserve even more respect. But I think that's the challenge when longevity is the centerpiece of, or the catalyst for your argument when you're saying someone is the greatest because they play longer. But 21
years. My problem I have without recognizing that stuff and without putting it in there is like, okay, other than Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders, the game breaks up with you typically, right? Or the writing is on the wall. For you to be great year in and year out and strong, everybody's had great year. If longevity doesn't matter, then why don't we call the GOAT whoever had the best season of all time? Why don't we look at the single season and say, well, that's the GOAT because no one ever did a season better than that person? Now, a lot of times the person who's the GOAT had the best season of all time, but you look at Eric Dickerson, right, who had that great yard. Nobody really thinks of him as the GOAT. He had two really good seasons where he killed it, did whatever, but he didn't do it long enough. And so when you say people, wow, he was good, but he didn't. Biggie, Notorious Big. A lot of people don't want to call him the GOAT. I'm not one of them because he only had 2 albums, right? He
Mm-hmm.
only had 2 albums. Wasn't his body of work? Then you look at Jay-Z and say Jay-Z's had however many albums. You got to look at him as a GOAT because he kept doing it for such a long period of time. And I think what the message for there is anybody can be great for a short period of time. Not anybody. Let's not exaggerate. People can be great for a short period of time and not long. Now you lose something when you say, all right, well, their career is long enough, but then you're discrediting it. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that a real short career lacked enough to get you into the. I know we went to the Hall of Fame dinner, NFL Hall of Fame a couple years ago, and Bryce Young got in, and Tony
Oh, I
Baselli.
like that. Hold on, repeat that, man. Hey, boy, hey, I like that. Put
Yeah,
that, throw your weight around. You went to the what?
we went to the NFL Hall of Fame inductee weekend. When Bryant Young, one of my old teammates, Bryant Young, was inducted, and Tony Baselli made it. And one of the things, like, oh, he only played 5 years. He did whatever. So it's a factor when it's short. So why isn't it a factor when it's long? If we recognize that,
Yeah, we use it against you when
but
deciding
not
things
for
are
you.
like Hall of Fame. So how dare we not use it in your favor when having conversations about the greatest of all time? That's fair.
Like
Very
Jordan
fair.
didn't play less than LeBron just because he just didn't feel like it. Now he retired the one time and he came back and did whatever. But if he was feeling like he still had championships in him and he could still kill and he could do whatever, he probably would have kept playing. Kobe didn't stop because he was tired of playing. He stopped because the game was starting to pass him by and he could feel it. Now he gave us one on the way out with the 80s or whatever point game he had at the end, but he was starting to break down. LeBron James is still dunking basketballs in games. So to discredit that and say that, well, it's no big deal. All right, well then how come no one else is doing it?
Right.
How come no one else did it?
Diana Taurasi,
Sorry,
last
Diana,
night.
for me to put all the other people's names on
No,
your
no,
time.
look, we're having a
That's
conversation
where I'm
about the
going.
greats on the NBA side, and Diana Taurasi is front and center in that conversation on the WNBA side. So I think these two things actually are very similar. But an entire crowd wearing a shirt that says, "If this is it." At the end of the game, she tried to give it seemed like a revelation into her psyche about not playing next year. And instead, the crowd started chanting, "One more year, one more year, one more year." Diana Taurasi, shout out to you for a great, illustrious career, both in the WNBA and internationally, with all she has done for the national basketball on the women's side. Shout out to you for what you've done for the college game. I mean, Diana Taurasi, I think it's crazy that she was drafted 20 years ago in 2004, but I can remember those UConn years when they were so dominant that you were forced to watch them to see if anybody could even beat them, let alone take a championship from what was indeed a dynasty. Shout out to Diana Taurasi for also speaking up for social issues off the basketball court. Shout out to Diana Taurasi for having so many different ways that she has impacted the game of basketball. And doing so, having played for one team. Sometimes the debates, especially when it's LeBron and Michael Jordan, they get into this realm of goofy when people use, well, MJ, largely only played for one team. The Wizards was more of a bridge to being an
It's
executive.
just unexplainable. It doesn't fit the narrative, so everyone says it doesn't count.
Well, maybe. How about Kobe, right? We give Kobe credit for having played for one team. We talk about guys like, Troy Aikman, Michael Earth. Like, you look at some of these names and we give them credit for having stayed with the one team. And I think it builds their reputation from a legacy standpoint when involved in these arguments. So shout out to Diana Taurasi, having played for one team and done so in a stellar fashion. I'll give you last word as we move from Diana Taurasi to another great from last night. I'll give you last word.
I'll just to keep it on Diana. I do think she should be celebrated. And I think she's obviously in the GOAT conversation. People are going to have arguments, but really, this is one of those situations where you just want to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
And I think she's done that.
She has done that. Shout out to her. Another great from last night. Someone who last year spent most of the season watching the games just like we did. After a very early departure of his season and going onto the IR list. Someone who, if you're looking at the stats, it's hard for you to say anything otherwise in terms of is he or is he not one of the greats. On Monday Night Football, with one of the biggest audiences of the season, because we all like watching Monday Night Football, it was a national game. If you put the New York Jets and the New England Patriots, big East Coast market, both teams, Boston versus New York, I still think they should start the game a little earlier because I was tired, boss. Aaron Rodgers did his thing last night. 2 TDs. He went 27 of 35, threw for 281 yards. Aaron Rodgers is doing his thing for the season. Now, it's only 2 games, so it's a very short sample size, but he is tied for the most TDs. He's thrown 5. He is alone for the most passing yards, 624. And he was really scrutinized by both the way he left Green Bay, looked eerily similar to the previous quarterback great that they had.
That happened to go Jets. Don't send any bad pictures.
And he was also scrutinized because he came to the Jets, a media market that is limitless in terms of size. When you come to New York, they haven't had a great at quarterback, if you want to call him great, since Joe Namath. Who else would you say was a great at quarterback?
At the Jets?
At the Jets.
I was going to say Mr. Butt Fumble, but Sanchez.
Who's the Sanchez?
Mark Sanchez.
Mark Sanchez. Right. You think of all of the misses.
No, what's his name was good. What's his name? What's the dude that played for Marshall? He was really good. Chad Pennington.
Chad Pennington was okay. Come on, man. I'm saying a great. This is greatness personified.
He was just
talking
good.
About great quarterbacks. You are not going to use the word Chad or Pennington.
Man, Chad Pennington, I got to vote for you. You were Jets great. You're Jets great.
But Aaron Rodgers did his thing last night. So greatness personified. We see those numbers. We see that he's able to bounce back from a torn Achilles. We know that he's long in the tooth. Taurasi was drafted in 2004. Aaron Rodgers was drafted in 2005. So 20th year, also in his 40s. What do we see here? Do you think that this is a storybook ending with the Jets? But more importantly,
no.
Aside from the season, right? Because that hinges upon in football, that hinges upon so many other different factors. But let's talk about his greatness. If he's able to stay in the top 5 in yards and touchdowns, he's number 1 right now. So many of the pundits on TV have called him the greatest already, despite him having a grand total of 1 Super Bowl win. 1. Let's talk about it, man. Is it greatness personified, or are we, because of a small market in Green Bay, we just fell in love with him? Like, what is it about Aaron Rodgers that when you're having this conversation about greatness, the greatest of all time conversations come up about quarterback. We're in that barbershop. You got nowhere else to go because, not barbershop. That's a bad example for you. You're in the grocery store.
That's what we got to do.
That's what I got to do, man. That's what I got to do. You started talking about me.
It was off the air.
You're in the grocery store and somebody passes you in aisle 3 and they say something like, Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback of all time. And because you are a ball hog and you do like to have these arguments, we mean debates, you just can't pass it up.
So
you engage in what do you say?
Well, first of all, if we're in the grocery store or walking by in the aisle and someone says that Aaron Rodgers is the greatest, I'm probably going to trip the person. And if that doesn't happen, I'm going to steal the best thing out of their cart.
That sounds like a real Bears fan, man.
Whatever looks like it was the last thing, Whatever looks like it was the last thing on the shelf on that card, I'm taking it. I'm deboing that
Why
stuff.
Bears fans so violent, man? You just
I'm
need y'all
just
team to be
saying, man.
violent.
You asked a
Yeesh.
question. I'm trying to speak from my heart.
My bad, man. My bad. Go ahead, man.
And I might put some shit in the card that's embarrassing. Maybe a feminine product. And then
You
I'm gonna
gonna
say
send him to the cashier with matching pads?
Backspin. So he could do his Donald Trump Halloween costume, put one on his ear, and do whatever. So that's kind of where my head is at. I don't know if that was the question. You said what would I do?
I forgot the question because
Is
you
that
put
not the
maxi
question?
pads in somebody else's grocery cart.
Somebody tell me the air is the greatest. I have a problem with that because he's choked it. There's a lot of times that you can sit there and criticize people and say, you got to have a team to win. It's hard to win. Yes, it's real hard to win. But a lot of times in those playoff games, he's choked.
The San Francisco example is the one that is most recent. That was, to me, the best roster that Aaron Rodgers had. Mm-hmm. Those who are in the grocery store defending the position that Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback of all times have used I won't say excuse, the explanation that the front office never surrounded him with the tools he needed to win. But that roster, right? And San Fran is on the road. You've got and everyone's saying San Fran can't play on the road in that weather. Aaron Rodgers came up pretty small.
And then, there says something to him, too. Like, you can't keep guys around you. Like, Devontae Adams left. As soon as Aaron Rodgers signed his extension, Devontae Adams got up out of there. There's something to that. No one's ever put anything to it, but there's something to that. So, I know he wanted to go play with his college quarterback, but there's something to that he left. So, I don't know. He's had some studs, man. He's had some stud receivers in his day, and things just haven't worked out. So, I think you can argue that he's got one of the best arms in NFL history.
What makes you say? All right, I'm gonna go with it. Best arms in NFL. I got you. Go ahead.
He's got a talented
arm. Oh man, I want it. He's got. All right, go ahead.
Some of those plays, some of those balls he threw yesterday were just nice, man. He could throw. He's got great placement. He's got some stuff, but that doesn't make you the best quarterback. He's the greatest at drawing you off sides and using that play. He's got some good stuff. He's a real good comeback guy. He's got some attributes that you'd like to see in your quarterback.
So is that in terms of a quarterback? And I guess like we're talking about greatness personified and all the different subjective factors that goes into your meaning all of us as sports fans, your rationalization that what you see is great. And in some cases, the greatest. So what you're saying is like the ability to come back for a quarterback, that's a factor for you. That's how you see if greatness is personified.
That's one of those things. The 2-minute offense he's done. He's had some great finishing the games to come back. You start looking at like basketball games, trying to make the comparison. Guys that can close you out, guys that can take the last shot. Quarterback is that 2-minute offense. If you can't run an awesome 2-minute offense and come back and bring teams back, where you just feel like, fuck, I gave him too much time. And there's a handful of quarterbacks in the NFL that you think of. You are so nervous about them that when you score, you're worried that I left him too much time. Right. I left him because we can't stop him.
Right.
There's nothing we're gonna do to stop him. He's got way too much time left on the clock, and you're so nervous that you just know it's inevitable. This dude, it may only be 21-21. You've had 4 quarters, almost a full game to score. All you got was 21 points. And now he's got 80 yards to go and 45 seconds to the timeout, and you're thinking there's nothing we can do to stop him from
getting. So it's not if he scores. We start preparing. When he scores, we're gonna do this. I guess, man. But
he's in that bucket.
We're one Pete Carroll bonehead decision away from Russell Wilson having more Super Bowl wins as a starting quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. And nobody in their right mind, nobody who is sober and at least a few hours away from smoking some weed, nobody would say that Russell Wilson is on the same plane as Aaron Rodgers. Now, yes, that Seattle, the Seahawks, that Legion of Boom defense was amazing. But I struggle with the quarterback thing. I struggle with that one when it comes to Aaron Rodgers because all the things that you talk about, he's got a great ball. His mechanics, while not always sound, allow him to make all the throws. He does have moxie when the game is on the line and his team needs a comeback. All those things are true. And we still only saw him capitalize one time such that he won a Super Bowl, and he had several opportunities. Several.
Yeah.
The last one being the one that stands out to me the most when losing to San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. I'll give you final word on it, man. Greatness personified. He did his thing last night. He's been at it now for, since 2005, he was drafted. He did it in a small market. I think that's how the comparison between him and Brett Favre is a good comparison because they both did it from a small market.
I don't.
Where is he in terms
I don't
of
buy small market when it comes to that doesn't apply to me. I say hell to that. Not Green Bay Packers are one of the foundational programs in the NFL. It's not small market like the Milwaukee Bucks, where it's
when I say small market, small media market.
Nah, I say it's a zero factor. I just look at it and say, if anything, it's a better factor from the fact that you don't have the stress. You're not going to get booed out of the stadium like you would at Philly and whatever. So maybe it's probably easier to succeed in Green Bay because you have your home field advantage is so strict, so severe, and the support is there. You don't have an owner because there's no owner of the team. There's no owner breathing down your neck, all on the sideline, all in the video, getting in front of stuff. So you don't have all those situations like that. But to look at Green Bay small market the same way you look at the Milwaukee Bucks as small market is unfair because Green Bay Packer fans are all over the place.
Yeah,
I hate all of you.
Very, very, very fair. Spoken like a Bears fan. Last word: greatness personified. When the conversation comes up, and Aaron Rodgers is the topic of conversation in that greatness debate. Give me your last sentence that wraps it up. And whether or not greatness has been personified, we saw it last night. Those numbers are undeniable in Monday Night Football in a situation where the Jets got manhandled against San Fran. This was their next time out, and all eyes are on. He definitely showed some greatness. But more holistically, his career, when having that conversation about whether it be the greatest of all time quarterbacks or just what makes a great, your thesis statement about Aaron Rodgers is what?
Trash. No, I think
as an objective guy, not as a Bears fan.
I do think, again, LeBron's 4-6 or 4-6 in championships, but he went to 10.
9 in a row at one point, right? Or something crazy.
Yeah, he was in the championship game for a decade. You know what I mean? So you got to look at that. So the second place finishes to me, 2 second place finishes, maybe 3 at equal 1 first place. You got to give it some sort of a weight, but like you got a bunch of silver medals. You got someone's got 10 silver or 6 silver medals. You can't say they weren't a great Olympian. The medal count, right? So he doesn't have that. He doesn't have the championships. I mean, from a skill level, you would think he's better than Eli Manning, but Eli Manning's more of a champion. Eli Manning had to go win championships against the GOAT.
Put his team on his back.
And beat the GOAT, So I am correct, right? New York's both are the Giants both championships against New England, right?
Against the Patriots.
Against the Patriots.
17-0, the 8 or whatever, 19-0 season, and then
so you gotta he's got some his resume's got some holes in it. He's got what happened to you between 99 and 2000. His resume definitely has some holes in it, but that said, he still has one of the greatest arms there. He's a great quarterback. I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think
Aaron Rodgers.
You got to make him wait.
You out your damn mind.
You got to make him.
He might be a pre-first ballot. They're gonna as soon as he retired, they're gonna just go ahead and give him his jacket, take the pictures, and we're gonna pay it forward. We already got you.
To me, he has to wait. He has to wait. He has to run a lap. We gotta give him a lap because he only got one chip.
Well, then you're saying the chip should hold more weight. right? Because Dan Marino's got 0.
That's facts.
Dan Marino has 0.
That's facts. I don't know. I'll make him wait just one time. He had to
See,
wait.
this is why they don't put fans on the damn committee, man, because you about to make the man wait just because he's more green and yellow.
They made T.O. wait.
They made T.O. wait, but T.O. in terms of how many sports writers he pissed off, his relationship with
Aaron Rodgers is not the belle of the ball.
Aaron Rodgers is not, but T.O. is a whole different level.
We could do a whole show
about
on that.
Black and white, but T.O. Black.
Who's got work today? We could do a whole show on that.
Yeah.
On how one is a villain and one is celebrated. But it's a family show. I'm not trying to go there today. I don't want to go there today.
I don't want to go there either because I'll be upset all weekend. Answer the question for those who are watching and can comment. I don't know what's going on in the comment section. It sounds like it looks like it's just from YouTube. What up, Crit? But answer that question. Is greatness personified when you review his career, despite the fact that he has not won multiple Super Bowls? Yeah. We are going in reverse age. We started with 42-year-old Diana Taurasi. We just went to 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Now I'm going to go to a guy who did something crazy last night. I mean, crazy to the point that I even tuned in.
Oh, you're not talking about me. I said, keep that low. You weren't talking about me.
Yeah,
I said, keep that low.
I wasn't talking about you.
Okay.
But last night, there was a man who did something that was next worldly, and his name is Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani had probably, arguably, and some might even say definitely, last night on a random Thursday, the best game ever played by a Major League Baseball player. And I wanted to make sure I said that clearly because I understand that a lot of times on shows that deal with current events in sports, there's recency bias. But in the night that he eclipsed 50 stolen bases, 50 home runs, and that same night, this man went 6 for 6 from the plate. He had not 1, not 2, not 3. You got to get all the way up to 10 RBIs. He had not 1, not 2, but 3 home runs and 2 stolen bases. He is the founder of the 50-50 club, 50 stolen bases and 50 home runs in one season. He's doing all of this right after his elbow surgery, Tommy John surgery, so he has not been able to pitch. But if you look at what he was doing before this, he was the first of the kind in the Major League Baseball. We've had Negro League baseball players pitch and be great at the plate, but he's like the first of his kind there. And now he is the first of his kind on this side when it comes to stolen bases and home runs. Shohei Ohtani is in a league of his own. 6 for 6. We all talk about how difficult it is to hit a baseball. He's making it look easy. And having the Asian market on his side and behind him and beyond the Asian market, all baseball fans, we are watching greatness personified. For me to tune in to a Major League Baseball game as he's on this 50-50 chase and then be wowed by just how easy he makes it look. His home runs are in different places. He's stealing bases. It's like everybody knows he's going to steal it. And 10 RBIs, next worldly. Next worldly.
I mean, I'm not a baseball fan. Not that I don't respect the sport. I just never really grew up as a fan. But to think of a guy to have season-ending injury on one of his attributes, right? Can't do it anymore. And he's like, that's fine.
Until next season, cannot pitch.
I'm going to give you an MVP season on the other thing I'm good at. On my backup
other
plan.
Things, plural.
He's a pitcher that can hit, but he hits at an MVP level. If he never throws another pitch ever, he's going to go in the Hall of Fame as a hitter easily coming in here. He's probably the best player in baseball, and he has a season-ending injury for his pitching, which is unworldly. And now this guy's on the 50-50 club. So now he doesn't just hit with power. He's fast. He can steal.
A
This is the
dominant
most talented
athlete.
baseball player in my lifetime besides Barry Bonds I can see.
And not only that, the most talented player in your lifetime, but we just saw probably the greatest game of our lifetimes and maybe ever. Definitely the greatest game in our lifetime. Most likely, the greatest game ever played.
Unbelievable.
In a sport that has been losing fans by the droves, I think he is the bag. He is the bag. People are attaching themselves to this icon, and it's drawing fans back in. It's helping viewership go up. There was a whole tracker on his 50-50 hunt last night. He's selling seats. He's got the Caitlin Clark effect in the sense that people want to see him. Shohei Ohtani, salute to you, my Asian brother.
And he got demons. You know, that's everybody got to have a couple of demons. He got demons too.
That wasn't him, man. It was his translator. You on a
Emmett
gamble?
Jordan was betting. Hey, his translator got him for $1.5 million because he wasn't looking. Look here, man.
Man, that was his translator. Shohei Ohtani, man, salute to you. Hats off to you, man. Greatness personified. To watch it in real time was really amazing. I think that when we are older, because we're already old, and we reflect upon that random Thursday night, 6 for 6, 10 RBIs, the first to ever become a member of the 50-50 club. This game is going to stand out for the rest of our lives as probably the best baseball game ever. It'd be hard to top that.
Facts.
And only because of his versatility would I even say there's anybody on the planet that could possibly top that. Because if he performs that well offensively and gets a few strikes at the plate,
pitch.
He's the only one that can top what he did. And
like you don't need any of that
any
of those Tommy John to swing the bat.
I guess not.
You don't need no Tommy John for that.
You don't need whatever that joint is.
I mean, your whole form is disconnected. It's healing up. Yeah. It's like this dude has got an ACL, but then he's like, all right, I just throw the ball. I'm not going to. I don't know.
Shout out to Shohei Ohtani, man. Shout out to baseball fans. Those of you who are really MLB fans, you got to be happy. This is the Michael Jordan moment of baseball, where there's someone that is on a whole different level, and he is changing the game. He is showing little league players that you can be a star on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. He is showing little league players that if you focus and spend enough time and commit to your craft, you can throw those limitations out the window when it comes to pitchers at the plate and vice versa. You can be someone that is cold at the plate, amazing at running the bases, and still get at that mound and throw that heat. Shout out to Shohei Ohtani, man. I think we're watching greats. I'll give you the last word on it as you look at those stats and think about 10 RBI, 6 for 6, in a game that we have all acknowledged as degree of difficulty, way more difficult than any of the other major sports here in the U.S. I'll give you last word on.
The other thing I had to ask is, why did they keep pitching to this man? Why do you keep pitching to this dude?
I'm sure
I kept thinking
that too. I think they lost 17-4. I'm sure the managers asked you that too.
It was like 49 or 48 he had, and they said he was on pace for 51.
You gonna walk him
the other day? No, but I'm thinking, okay, you only have 10 games left, I think, in regular season baseball or something like that. They're probably down to single digits now. And I'm like, okay, you say he's on pace, but I'm like, I'm not pitching to this man. The rest of
his last home run, you see the pitcher put both hands on his head because he knows for the rest of his life when this clip shows it's going to be starring two people. Shohei Ohtani swinging the bat and that pitcher throwing that garbage that got knocked up out the park for the 50th home run.
So my question is, the team, I want an investigation. I want a full-fledged investigation. I want to know if the team that he's playing had any chance for the playoffs.
I was about to say, I thought you were going to say the parlay.
The playoffs. The reason why I say that is you 2 home runs and you pitch him again. He went 6 for 6. At no point you walked this man.
I think the last one, the bases was loaded, so you couldn't walk him.
So then you do. There was a pitch underhand. I don't want to hit on you, Shohei, I'm not gonna hate on you, but smells a little something suspect. At some point, you got to go around the man. 10 RBI. Come on. So I have a problem with
But
that
isn't that
portion of
greatness personified? Like in
it
the sense
is.
that no matter what you do, you can't get it out of the way of this bullet. The bullet that is Shohei Ohtani is coming. Ain't nothing you can do about it.
They pitch as you can. You can walk the man. That's what you can do. One base. You can give the man one
They
base.
could walk him on the last one, but I think you could have walked him on the first pitch, the first time he was at bat.
You're not gonna do
You had
that.
5 other iterations, so I
You had a lot of chances to walk this man. You had to give him 6 for 6. I believe some of these pitches were underhand. Some of them were underhand. Whiffing
I call
ball.
bullshit. There's no way.
That's
Let's
cool.
go home with Ball Hawk Spotlight. Well, before we go to Ball Hawk Spotlight moment, man, Shedeur Sanders is under a little bit of heat because after the game, the camera's always around. Both the camera that is funded by the Colorado Buffaloes coach Prime and the oldest son, and other cameras, because he's a projected first round draft pick at the quarterback position, and he is at the core of most media stories when it comes to college football. The quarterback who had a lot to say, and we showed that clip last week, our Colorado State players ain't afraid of them, and they was talking big talk. The quarterback goes to shake Shedeur Sanders' hand, and Shedeur just shook the hand of one of the coaches, and the camera catches him saying, like, basically, nah, you had a lot to say. You ain't on my level. There are a lot of people that took issue with it. Is greatness also something that requires you to always be a good sport?
To an extent. So I'm different. When I have a problem with somebody, I shake their hand and I don't let it go. I make them shake my hand for a real long time.
No, you're a psycho. That's what that is. Different
No.
would be a
So
very
we had a
mild way to
coach.
describe that.
We had a coach that will remain nameless here that sabotaged our season in youth football because he didn't want his kids to have to play against all black teams. So I'm not going to get deep into that. That's a whole show in and of itself.
Absolutely.
So I was really upset about that situation. So when I laid a lump on him, I think it was like 43-0, something real bad. I shook his hand for a long time, right? Like I give you,
and you're just looking in his eyes as you're squeezing. Are you?
He wants to walk away. He just got lumped up, and I'm like, man, that was fun, man. That was a really good time. Keep shaking his hand. He's trying to pull it away, and I'm still holding on to your hand. Like, nah, that was good. I want you to feel like you can yank it, and I take pleasure in the fact that you can't have your hand until I give it to you. So there's a little bit of bullying in there.
In terms of being petty, that is greatness personified. That is petty at a whole different level.
Hey, if
I'm gonna hold your
hand. If I was a
hand.
singer, my name would be Petty Pentagrass, because I am petty when it comes to that. But if you don't want to shake my hand, that's fine too. I do think at some point when you woof too much, all that kind of woofing and stuff, I can see why it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and you don't get to just come by and just say good game, just get off the hook. Nah, man, I'm not interested. But I do think he came out there to shake hands, so I think I'm going to give him credit for that. He
Absolutely.
He came to the circle, he shook hands, the coaches did whatever, but you ran your mouth a little too much. I can see where you don't want to shake hands with him. I would have done it differently, but mine would have been just as petty as yours. Mine just would have looked better.
Does greatness require us to do it differently? Because here's where the generational difference comes into play. Because these young people get most of their antics and how they go about things like this from social media.
Right.
I would even argue, not in the case of Shedeur Sanders, I don't know him well enough to make this statement. I would even argue that a lot of these young people are doing it for the gram. That whole saying, do it for the gram, from a behavioral standpoint, they're doing things that look oddly unsportsmanlike. And as the projected first pick of the 2025 NFL draft, if that pick is going to be Shedeur Sanders, greatness also requires you to be a little bit above certain things. And look, I get where he was upset.
I disagree with you.
You disagree with that.
But I'm going to let you finish.
You disagree with, and I'm saying above, selfishly, for selfish reasons, not for pure reasons that you need to be a good sport, but for business reasons that you don't want any of the teams looking at that and thinking, I don't want him to be the face of my
I
franchise.
don't think it matters. I think class.
I mean, they drafted Bryce Young. We're gonna get to him, who is trash right now. But he was a model citizen running the best team. He 4'3", 130 pounds, and was the first pick of the 2023 NFL draft, largely because of the things that I'm saying, those intangibles that also lead to the description of greatness.
I'm gonna say, man, and we had a conversation pre-show about this. I think class is gone. Class is a thing of the past. Class is something you say you accuse people of not having when they're your enemies and you don't like them. But we celebrate the classless. Really, we do. We want people. We do. I mean, I don't want to get political, but man was president once and might be president again. Absolutely no class. Celebrate it. Some of us don't like him for other reasons, whatever, but he doesn't have class. When it comes to sports, we celebrate the selfish. We celebrate the ones that are for self.
Those are the ones that are on TV right now.
One of the
Keyshawn
reasons-
Johnson, give me the damn ball. Michael Irvin was always in trouble off the field. You go down the list. Randy Moss almost ran a doggone gate attendant over when he was in Minnesota and was considered to be toxic. You go down the list of people that are getting the positions now, and a lot of them are controversial. Even Ryan Clark. You look at what's the kid that I'm tripping? The linebacker from Bart Scott was also a controversial linebacker.
Can't wait.
You know, Steve Smith was known for punching people in their mouth. He's on TV now. So look, I'm not.
Class is what you tell people to have just when you're just trying to we take a shot at them, but it's not celebrate. We want dogs. You know, if you look at 7-on-7 basketball now, when someone scores a touchdown,
7-on-7 football. 7-on-7 football.
What I say?
You said basketball. You good? Whoever playing 7-on-7 basketball.
7-on-7 hoop, man. That's the old man league because we can't get up and down the court. Sometimes crazy stuff comes
Just
out.
add two more people.
I'm like, what did I say? I know it sounded funny. It tasted funny when I said it. But 7-on-7 football now. You know, what do you do? Someone scores, you pat them on the head, disrest him, you do whatever.
I couldn't survive in that world. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is where I just opt out because you touch me. We throwing hands, bro.
You're old school. But in today's world, man, there's just class doesn't pay. You know what? Let me show you a guy with class, and I'm going to show you somebody who the coaches are going to say is not a dog. They're going to show you a guy who they say isn't tough. He doesn't have swagger. You get penalized for class nowadays. It's bad to have class, and I hate to say it because I'm an old school, humble, give the ball to ref, never celebrated, never wore helmet awards.
Act like you've been there before, but I ain't been here before, Coach. Why I gotta act like
helmet awards on my helmet? Always gave them to the guys who worked hard in practice that never got them. I would give them away. That's just kind of the way that I was raised and the way that I try to raise mine and the way I see it. But like, there's no place for that in sports now. No one does it. Now, every once in a while, there'll be a feel good story. They find a guy that does that. But really, if you really look at sports the way we are today, the way to get ahead in sports, the way people want to get it. Again, I hate to say it because I don't agree with it. Selfishness, self-centeredness, me is what's celebrated in sports today. And pretty much every sport, every level. So, yeah, he didn't shake his hand. He didn't do whatever. He's just a product of today's environment in sports. That's just who we are. And people say the only people who think that he's classless are people who are upset that Colorado won. Colorado fans love him. They don't care. No one cares.
I mean, I did hear a good point that the shoe was on the other foot and Colorado had lost, and it was the exact same exchange, but the quarterback from Colorado State made light of Shedeur Sanders and their loss. We wouldn't have an issue with it. And you know what? Maybe. That's a big hypothetical, a big if. I will say this, greatness personified. I do think from a generational standpoint, the definition of greatness has become a lot more defined by the individual. So what do I mean by that? If social media is driving the definition of how the audience receives you, and social media is me, I, what we're doing is we're being sold in some cases, a fake bill of goods by the athletes themselves, by their parents, by their coaches, that they're forcing the concept of greatness on us. And sportsmanship is out the window. I will say this because last week I talked about the guy not shaking my hand after we beat them. I got a chance to see him last Saturday. I was like, hey, man, he played another game, and I went to it to watch the other team. And I was like, hey, man, you didn't shake my hand. And he's like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I was focused on coaching the next game. I would never do that." So the same way I complained about it, I'm
I
gonna be
love that
honest.
sentence too. People who just did something say, "I would never do that." You
I would
just did
never
it.
do that. You just
You
did
just
it.
did
But
it.
he shook my hand. It was a great conversation. Since I brought it to this platform, I like to be genuine. And I'll take him for his word. It was a mistake. But my issue with it is because I thought it was tacky. My issue with it is because I'm an old school purist. My son had a great week, and this guy who does national rankings happened to be there. But it's the first time that anyone in the football world has ever spent any ink on my son about football. He's been doing this thing since he was 7. And why? Because I have taken a very different approach. He doesn't have an Instagram handle. I never post any videos, right? I'll do a picture occasionally, but I'm not out here selling this idea that I have greatness in my son. And I wanted the whole world to see it by way of his Instagram handle and by these videos. And I got to be honest, there have been people close to me that I respect who said you're making a big mistake, because this generation is about the salesmanship of greatness, not necessarily the greatness itself. Would you sounds like that's what you're saying as well?
It is. It's all fluff and la la. I mean, we are every day moving closer to just pure business at the lower levels, high school levels, collegiate levels. And not to say that I don't appreciate that, because I think sometimes that's as far as these guys are going to go, and they need to be able to make the money. There's money that's out there, and I'd rather see it go in these kids' hands and be wasted than see all these other people lining their pockets and everyone else benefiting from it. So, you know, that's where we're starting to get towards, as a sport. It's more of a business, but you see it every day. Everyone uses, they weaponize the morality of it. They weaponize the good guy stuff against you to try to see, like, to kind of keep you in check, or when they can't make everything else work out, then we start talking and use words like loyalty, right? They should get that word out of sports. It should be a 15-yard penalty or a technical foul if anyone's heard saying the word loyalty around sports, because it just doesn't exist except for when you're trying to get somebody to do something. It's kind of like when someone says we're family, right?
Mm-hmm.
When someone says we're family to you, it's typically because they want something from you that they can't justify why you should give it to them. And they're going to say, we are family, because that's their last resort.
Right.
I don't want to hurt anyone's religious feelings, but when people say, I prayed on it and I came up with this really stupid decision, it's because you're not going to question somebody's faith, right? Oh, I prayed on it and I thought I should
Right.
buy
That's their
myself.
protective.
That's
Gear.
that's their safe space. I can say
Right.
that because you're not going to really say anything. But it's like, say, hey, God, I'd like to see guys with character and loyalty. And the person who's saying that has no character and no loyalty to anybody, but they just weaponize it. They throw it out there. So I know it sounds real bitter, but I just take a step back when you're done with the show, and start thinking about your great stars, and start thinking about these people. Are these guys that, and women, are they people that, unfortunately, women probably teach us a better lesson, because they're not as self-centered when it comes to sports and stuff as the males have been.
Hey, stop men bashing, man. You men bashing.
Nah, I'm just saying, the guys in sports, the greatest guys in sports, typically pretty
not just
self-centered.
sports. This is where sports business and entertainment collide. We have watched the hubris that has been exposed when it comes to Sean, P. Diddy, Puffy, how many ever other nicknames he has. And look, I'm somebody with a lot of nicknames that's just as vain. So I don't.
Do you have baby oil? Open those cabinets. There's some baby oil in there.
I got baby oil, but not 1,000 bottles of it.
But you can never have too much baby oil. I don't even know why people making a big deal about it.
But he has been greatness personified.
The 500 dildos they found in his house, I think those might, have some explaining to do.
I don't know, man, but I'll say this. He has been greatness personified in terms of a music business mogul. He's been greatness personified in terms of using his platform for social awareness. He's been greatness personified. You go down a list of greatness personified attributes that you would attach to Sean Puffy Combs, and being a great human being, at least from my definition, again, it's subjective. It's subjective. Being a great human being was not on there. And I guess when it comes to sports, business, and entertainment, I guess when it comes to being a model example for young people in sports, business, and entertainment, I guess I am going old school and say, I think that there has to be some form of character that we factor into the greatness. And if not, we're setting ourselves up for a very huge letdown. If not, then we are allowing and enabling these people that are dripping with power and entitlement and authority to mistreat everyone around them. And that's what I think the quintessential example is with Sean, Puffy, P. Diddy, Puff, Diddy, Combs, Sean John, all of them, right? All of them. The fact that, he calls someone, 900 times or whatever that is involved with another lawsuit, power. So I guess I'm just asking us all to consider it. If we're going to dub someone greatest of all times, and we are saying in real time, that's greatness personified, it's incumbent upon us, the fans, to make sure that there is a character quality to that. And I know that makes me sound 137 years old, older than Methuselah, by making the statement. But if not, what are we doing? We are literally allowing social media, the propaganda, right? The buzz around trash to guide our definition of what greatness is. How are the kids not going to then aspire to be trash human beings? That's their association with greatness. I'll give you last word on it, man. Then we go lightning round before we get out of here. You hear of Shedeur Sanders not shaking his hand. You see it. You know that there are standards in this world that, while not fair, there are double standards in terms of how we received and how we appreciate it. We know that whether it be, and not to get political, but Kamala and her resume versus her opponent, whether it be, you can go to your job right now, you can go on and on and on about, people of color had to work harder, be smarter, do all of these things in order to just get an opportunity to compete. And Shedeur Sanders, the projected first round of the 2025 NFL draft, doesn't shake a man's hand.
So when you put all that in it, I feel like you're doing too much. We're talking about who he is, all he represents. I think you had to be yourself and do whatever. He went and shook hands with people. He just chose the dude who was flapping too much and spoke to him as like, nah, I'm cool, man. We don't shake hands. But he shook hands with the coach. He shook hands with the team. He shook hands with everybody. He didn't snub the line and run back in there. Now, granted, he won, right? So there's no reason to run away. But when you start putting all that weight on it, that's extra to me. He's going to protect your first round.
Fair, he's young. He's 21 years old. Fair.
He just didn't shake one dude's hand of whose name you don't remember.
Number 16. That's his name.
Yep. So his name you don't remember. Nobody cares.
I don't like how you did that, man. I should know his name.
Nobody cares.
Let's move to lightning round, man. Let's go on with these. All right. First one. This is our ball hog spotlight moment. Lightning round, lightning round, lightning round. You got USC traveling all the way to Ann Arbor in a amazingly weird matchup because it's a Big Ten matchup. USC Trojans take on the Michigan Wolverines in the Big House. Who you got winning? And in terms of the insanity that is college football conferences now, what do you think? We hear USC playing Michigan in a Big Ten matchup.
I think it's kind of awesome when you just think about like the historic nature of this. This is typically two teams that only face off in a Rose Bowl in the greatest of years, and with the playoffs and the BCS championships and everything like that, you probably haven't seen this matchup in a while. So this is two of the blue bloods matching up in a regular season game. I'm going to go venture to say they've never played in the Big House before. So that's going to be a huge change because every time they've played, it's been a bowl game. So I think this is a great matchup. I'm going to have to go USC on this one. I think they're having a pretty good season. I predicted that, Michigan was going to have a little bit of a tough rebuild, replacing the quarterback. There are six linemen went to the NFL. So dude that was over here that wasn't even tired at the end of the game is in the league now. Or at least I said 6 went to the combine. I think they all got picked up. Their best running back is gone. They've lost some receivers. So it's going to be tough offensively. Their defense was supposed to be just as good as it was, but it's difficult when your offense isn't going to give you as much. So I'm going to pick USC in this, but I think it's an unbelievable matchup for a regular season game. What a treat for college football.
I ask everyone the same question. USC travels all the way to Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor is full of people that are proud fans of that Michigan team. They're still the reigning champs until somebody dethrones them. Who you got winning? Thank you, Cordell Smith says USC. Who you got winning? USC at Michigan. To me, that is probably the best top 25 game because you got Michigan 18 seed. You got USC the 11 seed. USC is hot. USC is fighting to resume its rightful place among the elites in college football, whereas Michigan did it. Michigan did it. So we're looking at sort of a different place that both programs are in terms of their respective timelines. I think it's going to be a great game.
No doubt.
Joel Embiid, right? In this episode of Greatness Personified, when it comes to getting paid, Joel Embiid is greatness personified. He just got another contract, despite more injuries, for 3 years, $192.9 million. We're talking about greatness personified. The 76ers fans have had a love-hate relationship with Joel Embiid because of his propensity to end up on the sideline watching games versus on the court playing in the front court. But trust the process. We're at the point now that the process is getting my check and going to the bank. His agent is greatness personified. But is Joel Embiid greatness personified in a game that is essentially made the big man extinct? He's still a big man and still one of the best. Do you think they did the right thing by paying him yet again?
I mean, you kind of had to pay the man. He's
pay the man his money.
But I don't know. Joel Embiid is too big to be that soft. He's Anthony Davis plus 50 pounds, and I don't like that. And he's I watch him. He just doesn't do what a Joker does. You know, take over the game and kill like that.
Joker's in the league is on us.
I don't think there's any comparison between the two of them. People got mad. They wanted Joel Embiid and thought it was racist that the Joker. And then, I started watching Embiid, started watching Joker.
Oh, the 2 seasons ago, MVP season. Yeah.
There's no comparison. There's no comparison. He just doesn't have that killer in him. He's just soft. He's skilled. He'll make some stuff, but I always leave watching feeling like I could have got so much more out of him.
And again, talking about factors of what each one of us objectively think of when we think of greatness, that's definitely one of the factors. Because most greats that you would put in the category of greats, when you are done watching the game on TV or you're done, at the game itself, you feel like you got fulfilled. You got extras. You got a full dose of that great player. And so that's what my challenge is with Joel Embiid, because I also feel like it just doesn't always end fully. There's no sustenance there where I walk away from the meal like, oh man, that was great watching him.
Do you got anything else? Y'all want to stop by Burger King on the way home?
Let me get a dessert. Yeah. All right. So we'll see, man. 76ers fans are only going to increase the intensity of their expectations. So Joel Embiid and your agent and your family, anybody and everybody who loves Joel Embiid, this is your time, dog, because you done got another $200 million out of the 76ers. You better believe them 76ers fans are going to use that $200 million paycheck to draw their own conclusions about the expectations of the team and the process that you have told us to trust. Caitlin Clark. The Caitlin Clark effect continues. WNBA record crowd, 20,711, went to go see her play in Capital One Arena. The home team, Washington, had to change where they played because of the Caitlin Clark effect. It was the last regular season game. Indiana Fever got whooped, but it didn't really impact the playoff standings. This is where sports, business, and entertainment collide. In terms of the greatness personified, we cannot deny in terms of her business, her impact on business, Caitlin Clark is greatness personified. And she had a great season, rookie of the year season, especially now that Angel Reese is out with an injury. Rookie of the year season, probably before that, but rookie of the year season with all the expectations on her shoulders, with people lined up literally to come watch her play in a sport that has struggled to get in-person attendance, with people turning their TVs to games in a sport that has struggled to garner viewership. When you think of greatness personified and you think of Caitlin Clark, you say what?
I say she's generational. I say she's Tiger Woods.
As a
I say
player
she's
or as a
as an athlete, as a marketing machine. She's
personality?
as just her personality is Melba Toast, but like I would just say that her draw
Was that a
is
medicine? What is her
Melba
personality is what?
Toast. I think it's a flavorless toast that you eat when you're sick. I don't know, but I heard Melba Toast. I've heard people say that before. I don't think they've ever had it, but don't call me out on my shit.
My bad,
But
my bad. I just
anyway,
want to use it. I want to call you. I want to use
I
that.
feel like she is the Tiger Woods of female basketball. The
So we
standpoint
gonna find out that she had this salacious lifestyle behind closed doors one day.
that'd be kind of cool to find out she was a freak, wouldn't it? In some ways, to find out she was a freak, you would see how chauvinistic we are
Caitlin
as a
out here with
society.
bodies. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
yeah, she had
Caitlin.
to catch your bodies and stuff. I'm getting people putting up pictures of Kamala and Diddy at the freak offs, but
Oh man.
I got some because I got about 30 pictures of Trump at the freak offs too.
Oh yeah.
But
It's with
anyway,
Epstein.
Epstein, he's with everybody. But anyway, I just read this article. Someone said in the 1 year she's been in the NBA, the money has changed around so much that the investors are getting their money back. They're going to be able to pay off their debts. They're going to be able to do all the different things they couldn't do, and the players should all get a 200 to 300% raise. And they said Caitlin Clark should be celebrated, not tolerated. And I thought that was facts.
Respect.
You can say what you want to say about her. You can hate on her all you want. You're part of the problem, not the solution. If you do, you just don't see what it for what it is. But she has literally lifted up a sport and made this. You know, there's going to hopefully not people have to go to Russia and get thrown in jail for smoking weed or whatever. If it was me, I'd let her shoot. I wouldn't foul her hard. I wouldn't do anything. That's your meal ticket. Because if she balled out. She started off slow. Everyone wants to talk. Now all the haters can do is talk about turnovers. Throw the whole season in the garbage. All the records she broke. All they want to do is talk about turnovers. Oh, she's got turnovers. LeBron got more turnovers than everybody else too. You out there balling and you're doing great things. And I watch her games. Her turnovers are mainly because people are not playing to the level of her level, so they're not running to the ball. She throws the ball and it goes out of bounds because you didn't finish. She taught those women how to play basketball at a different level, and now they're in the playoffs. 6th seed. Caitlin Clark
Went from last to in the contention. So shout out to Caitlin
last to
Clark.
middle.
But the way you describe her, she's got long hair. You know, she's traditionally, when I see her, she's very pale, and she's from the north, well, at least the Midwest. I'm calling her Santa Claus. She ain't Caitlin Clark no more. She's the gift that keeps giving. She has given
where
the
are we gonna go with this one?
I'm sorry.
I didn't know where you were going. I'm like, I didn't say nothing that you're talking about. All these, I don't know where you're talking.
She's Santa Claus, man. She's the gift that keeps giving. The WNBA should be happy and go to the bank with a check that says Caitlin Clark. And as long as she's there will be an effect. And the je ne sais quoi, the intangibles.
Spell it.
Huh?
If you're going to claim it, spell it.
I can't spell it.
I know.
But the things that you cannot explain as to why so many people want to watch her play, as to why so many people want to turn the TV in her direction, why so many people defend her when talking about women's basketball and putting her on Mount Rushmore in her early years. You can't explain that effect, that phenomenon. And so I think that in itself is a form of greatness, the inexplicable. Shout out to her, though. Last but certainly not least, Bryce Young. Right, Bryce Young, because we went through my girl, Caitlin Clark. And I want to make sure that we know that she's the reason that we had the largest crowd ever in a WNBA game. But Bryce Young is on the other side of greatness. The
reason why people leave in the first quarter.
Right. He has now reached a new low. He was the first pick of the 2023 draft. He was benched. He said he was surprised by that decision.
Hell yeah.
Benched for, I think Sam Darnold is taking over the reins.
No, it's the redhead dude.
Andy Dalton. Same person, different name. What say you in terms of Bryce Young? Is this the beginning of the end? He's in the second year. Normally, when you are the first pick and you are a quarterback, they give you ample opportunities to show just how bad you are, despite how bad you are. A la Jamarcus Russell got a lot of opportunities with the Raiders, and he was horrid compared to Bryce Young. He's undersized, but do you think this is the beginning of the end? Greatness personified. Does he have greatness in him because the spotlight isn't going to dim at all. When you're the first pick of the NFL draft, when you had several other quarterbacks that you passed up for this particular person, the spotlight is going to get brighter now that you have been benched. Do you think Bryce Young and all his moxie and all his character, do you think that he can resurrect this thing and become a player from the Himalayas and have greatness personified in the NFL?
Yeah, I think I wasn't the biggest fan of Bryce Young in college, but he was definitely a great college. He was a great college quarterback. He had a lot of talent.
I thought you were going to say a winner because he was a winner too.
He was, but he had a lot of talent around him. I always question, Tua's done pretty well, but I've always questioned the Bama quarterbacks just because they've had so much talent that they go to the NFL and they don't have that kind of mismatch anymore where they have the best linemen, the best running back, the best receivers, the best everything. And I think it's kind of hard. But I also say that, look, you're the first pick in the draft. I mean, look how I wasn't a big fan of the Bears quarterback, but he's not doing well. He's running for his life. He's doing whatever. I hope he gets kicked out of there and he goes someplace else because it's the worst team in football is Carolina. So hopefully he'll go someplace else. Somebody was saying they'd like to see him in Miami. Now that Tua's out and see what he could do with there, but he's definitely not anywhere near done. You're not the first pick of the draft. There's no indication he has any off the field stuff. Jamarcus Russell's problem was he wasn't studying any of the books. He was just partying and enjoying life. And I think that Bryce Young is, seems like a great kid from what I understand and does not have those issues. So he'll be fine. He'll find someplace else and he'll get developed and he'll eventually be a name in this league. I mean, look at Baker, touchdown maker, whatever. He took a long time and now he's doing well. I think, he just was at the Browns when the Browns were not a really good place to go. So don't be surprised if Bryce Young ends up in Cleveland, though. They like to pick up whoever the hell on the streets.
Right on. Bryce Young, hang in there, man. There it was a picture of, I think it was Tyrese Maxey or somebody at a game, and there was a young lady next to him, and it has been reported that that young lady, who you could tell was trying her hardest not to be seen in the Jumbotron, reported that was Bryce Young's girlfriend. Now, that's just a rumor. It's just a rumor. But that is not greatness personified if your lady is on a Jumbotron with an NBA player. And also, I think she dated, who else? She dated somebody else.
At your game?
No, not at his game. Not at his game. Not at that would be different level bowl. I think it was a WNBA game. And also is reported to have dated Shedeur Sanders, actually. So
she's for everybody.
Greatness personified. That is greatness personified.
For the streets.
Streets. I'll say this, man, because
boys don't date anybody. A woman of the evening is what they used to call it back then. Woman of the evening. You don't want to mess around with somebody.
You don't want to do that. This has been another example of greatness personified. We do want to send our best wishes to Tua, who has officially been put on the injury reserve list. Everyone and anyone with an opinion is weighed in. Here at the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, we just wanted to share with you all. I think our best, the best thing that we can do now is just offer prayers for the brother. Now, greatness personified means that you got to define your own greatness. This show is both about the greats, but also about more. However you define that as an adult, how you live, how you embody that greatness, because greatness personified is not just about athletes. Greatness personified at work, greatness personified in your household, how you parent, greatness personified as a mentor, how you serve and doing civic duty in your communities. Greatness can be personified in several different ways. But the more we add character to how we define greatness, the better shot we have that the next generation will take that to heart and we can be a better world as a result. And with that, any final words before we get out of here, Big Flo Show?
Nope.
With that, enjoy the college football season. Enjoy the NFL season. Enjoy the WNBA playoffs. Enjoy this once in a lifetime thing we're seeing with Shohei Ohtani. Enjoy your weekend. And we enjoy in advance the fact that you'll be back next week. Enjoy also liking, commenting, sharing, tagging a friend, tagging a foe, and subscribing to our YouTube channel and the podcast. We had the Big Flow Show coming from the Middle Coast. I'm your boy, B. Brown ESQ, a.k.a. The Ball Hog, a.k.a. The Mouth of the South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Breezy, a.k.a. The Councilman, a.k.a. Coach Bobby. Coming to you from the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. Two businessmen get together to discuss sports in an entertaining fashion. With that, we is out. Peace.